Hey, it's Tom from Tom's Toons, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to install the low back helm chair on the sliding pedestal from pontoonstuff.com. This is a unique setup because we're going to have co-captain's chairs. We're going to have two helm chairs basically up in the bow of the boat. This customer opted for a more comfortable fishing chair option, something we can fish from, seated. We could spin around and be part of the conversation. We could even kick our feet up. Don't put your dirty boots up on the seats. But I could kick my feet up and lounge back here too. The captain is getting the reclining helm chair because, as Marty would say, the captain is a superstar. They get the luxurious chair. And that's how you remember starboard, because typically the captain and helm are on the starboard side. Try that one on. No?
No, it's because the driver eats starburst.
Starburst. Drivers eat starburst when on the boat, so that's starburst side. Glad we figured that out. This chair is already in, so I've already installed this, and what I've done, I'm just gonna try to mirror over to the other side. And if you were installing, this is a great helm chair for the captain too. These slide forward and back. We'll show you that. They can lock in place. They're adjustable in how they swivel and how much friction is there too. So I'm gonna show you how to install it in this unique setup. But if you're installing it in front of a console, you're gonna follow the same steps. You'll just fit it up to the console versus fitting it into a corner. Oh, did you notice my comfortable boots? I know they look nice. I wish you could feel how comfortable these actually are as work boots. You're talking to a guy who worked in tennis shoes for the last 3 years. We have a coupon code for you for Brunt workwear, boots and clothes in the description of this video. Go check them out. If you need new boots, make a purchase, save some money. Helps our channel too. That was a shameless plug, wasn't it? Let's get to work. If you order your helm chair with the sliding seat post, it's gonna come in a separate box, the seat post and the chair. This is just, it's an add-on. You can shop around for these things. You might find them cheaper elsewhere, but I will tell you this from my experience. I tried it at times when Pontoonstuff.com didn't have them in stock. And I'll tell you what, those are still sitting in boxes over off to the side of my shop because they're sort of terrible. I got them on Amazon, they're wobbly. I can't put them on customers' boats, so they're gonna sit until I find something else to do with them. This is our pedestal out of the box. So it's actually a two-part design. The way that this mechanism works, when the chair is on it, this lever will be in front because this allows me to slide the seat forward and back. If I'm sitting at the console, I need to be a little closer to drive because I'm short like I am. I can slide forward. If my friend who's 6'6" jumps on the boat and he's gonna drive, he can slide back. The other adjustments that we have for this seat base are a locking mechanism, so it's gonna keep it from rotating. If I push that down, locks it in. And then I have a tension screw for the swivel. So if I tighten this up, righty-tighty, it still swivels, but it's a lot more friction and the seat becomes more stable. If I loosen it up, I can spin around, but I get a little more play in there too. What I'm gonna do to start is I'm gonna loosen that thumb screw up. I'm gonna lift this top mechanism right off. That way we get this out of the way. We'll come back to that soon enough. For my helm chair, I'm gonna go ahead, unwrap it, and I'm just gonna tip it right back and expose the bottom here. I've got these rubber pieces, throw them away. They serve no purpose. They were just there to protect these rails at the bottom of the seat during transport. We've got our hardware in a bag that's attached to the bottom of the seat. We're gonna go ahead and open that up. And let's just dump it right out on the floor of the deck of the boat. We've got flat washers. There's gonna be 8 of them. They gave me an extra. It's my lucky day. And then you're gonna have 4 machine screws. It's a number 3 Phillips head. And 4 wing nuts. What we can do to prepare is go ahead and just put a flat washer on up to the head of the machine screw on each of them. And then this is a pretty simple position to work in, but if I got another seat available, I can rest this right on end just like this, and it makes my job even easier. This is my preferred way to do it. We've already got seats up in the boat. Let's make it easy on ourselves. I'm gonna take my seat base, the top part of it. So this would be facing forward with this little lever in front, the slide adjustment. I'm gonna face that forward, and you'll see on this setup, These 4 holes are gonna line up. We've got some room to move if we need to, but we're gonna try to just center it the best we can. And I'm gonna start by dropping in that machine screw with the flat washer right down. The machine screw is going down, the head is exposed where I can get a wrench on it or a screwdriver. Here's the fun part, get your nimble fingers ready. I'm gonna hold my washer between my thumb and my index finger, and then I'm gonna take my wing nut and I'm gonna pinch that between my middle finger and my index finger. So I create a little sandwich here. That way I can get underneath here and I can get my washer on and have that wing nut pinched in there right between and get that on. We're just gonna hand tighten that for now, and then we're gonna come down and do the bottom side, and that'll allow us to square everything up. And then I'll get the other 2 washers and wing nuts on. Guys and gals watching, this is the first time that we've done a video with a microphone. So comment below, tell me what you think. Is the sound quality better? We actually don't even know if you can hear me right now, if it's recording. This is the first time we've even tried it. I hope it's working. So if you've got a number 3 Phillips head screwdriver, you could use that. I just have a little ratchet with an attachment for a number 3 Phillips. I'm gonna hold the wing nut with my hand and tighten that the best I can. You might grab an adjustable wrench and slide it over the wing nut so you can tighten it even better. I highly do not recommend using an impact. Done it, and you go, and you're holding that wing nut, and all of a sudden the wing nut decides to spin, and it does not feel good on your hand. So with that tightened down, I'm now ready to get the base back on the bottom, the pedestal portion. I can slide that in, tighten that thumb screw a little bit so it doesn't come out. I'm ready to flip this over and kind of mock things up where I want it to go. When you're positioning your chair, whether it's in front of a console or in this case, we're trying to make room to walk through, have space for my knees in front of the railings, etc. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna sit right in the chair and get it in position. So the request was that we could swivel all the way around, which I can, but then we also need to make sure we have room coming through the middle. So what's really neat about this is if I want a little bit more knee room in front here, because I'm a little tight here, my toes are touching, I'm gonna use that adjustment on the front left side, and I'm gonna go ahead and slide back. Now I'm all the way back, and look at how much more room I have now, and I can still spin all the way around. I can still kick my feet up if I want to, and in that all the way back position, this really opens up this doorway really well. So this is what I did, the exact same thing when I put that chair in that's fully mounted. And what I did to mirror my seats is I marked my holes. I'm gonna show you how to do that in just a second here. I marked my holes and then I measured from the seat, from the railing, and I squared everything up so I can drill the same exact set of holes mirrored on the port side of the boat here. If you're just putting one chair in or you're at the captain's chair, when you get it where you want it, I take a Sharpie and I mark in each hole, I mark the vinyl where that's gonna go. I've got my chair out of the way for now, and if you can see here on the floor, I've got my little Sharpie mark. There's 6 of them total, so I'm gonna drill 6 holes. Before we go making any marks or drilling any holes, one thing that we do is a little bit ago, I had Corey come and tell me where the cross members are in relation to where I'm roughly gonna be putting my seat. So she told me that we're gonna likely hit one cross member, and of course, we sure did. That's not the end of the world. It can make things a little more complicated, but I'm gonna show you how I do this, so that if I do catch a cross member, it's okay. I use a 7/32 drill bit, so it's just slightly under a 1/4 inch, because we're gonna use 1/4 inch hardware to hold that seat down through the deck. This is also really handy if you're working by yourself, because by using slightly smaller bit, my machine screw, stainless, it's gonna go through the deck, is actually gonna bite in and tap into the plywood. That way, if I don't have somebody to hold the hardware on top with a screwdriver, I can go underneath, and in most cases, I can tighten from the bottom because that bolt, machine screw, is held into the plywood. That's the benefit of going slightly smaller. If you've got plenty of extra hands to help, use a 1/4-inch drill bit, have somebody hold it with a screwdriver, you go underneath and tighten. I'm gonna knock out all 6 of these holes. So this hit an aluminum cross member here. I'm gonna go with it because this 7/32 bit going through aluminum, my stainless hardware is still going to be able to thread in and through that aluminum cross member. It's thin, it's an 1/8 of an inch or less. If you've got a 1/4-inch cross member, that might be asking a little much of your stainless hardware. So then I would drill a 1/4-inch hole and have somebody hold it while I tighten from underneath. Your only headache of hitting a cross member can potentially happen when that cross member is a C-channel and your bit goes right into the vertical piece or too close to where you can't get a nut on it. That's where, if I've tapped in with a slightly smaller drill bit, my machine screw can actually thread into the aluminum and lock in place just like if it had a nut on the bottom. It's not my favorite thing, but if I have to make it happen, it's still gonna really secure that seat down well. Otherwise, if you can plan and move the seat forward just a few inches, if you've got a little bit of play there, you could do it all through plywood. It's gonna be very secure, the way that we're gonna fasten on the bottom too, and it'll make your life a lot easier when it comes to installing the seat. Cleanup crew. For hardware here, I'm gonna use a stainless, this is a 1/4-20, number 3 Phillips head. It's a flat head machine screw, 1 3/4 inch long. You could use a 2-inch, it'd be fine, but I found that the 1 3/4 inch gives me enough bite through to get a nut on and not have excess. On the underside, I'm gonna use a fender washer. This is a 1-inch fender washer. You could go with a 1.5 inch, it wouldn't hurt, and a nylock nut. When I put these nylock nuts on, there's a little bit of nylon thread in there. Stainless will seize up. It doesn't always happen, but if you're using power tools, especially an impact wrench, you're more likely to seize it. The heat, the lack of oxygen, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how it all works, but they will literally weld together, and then you gotta break it and start over. So what I'll do is put a dab of anti-seize lubricant that you can put on them. WD-40 usually works. I use a little bit of grease, just general grease, but something to keep them from seizing. These will go on the underside of each of these 6 machine screws. I'm gonna take that pedestal back off, line it up with those holes, and I'm gonna run these down. What I do is I get the first couple, I'm gonna start front and back and not drill them all the way super hard. I'm gonna get them just down and seated, then I can go around and start tightening them in. If I hammer down this front one, my back is gonna tip up, so that's why you won't see me drive it all the way in. I'll come back and tighten it. See how it started to lift there? I don't want it to lift too much. Put it back out just slightly. And now I can put this side in. And this one's gonna catch the cross member. So I've threaded into that cross member. Now I can go ahead and fully tighten these. And I'm not gonna crank it. I'm gonna get them tight, but I'm not gonna crank it so hard that I strip the wood, because the threads are tapping into the wood here. Go back around, give it that once more. Those are through the plywood. They're locked in place. This is secure, but it's not secure enough to sit on. Don't use screws. They will rip out eventually. Just don't do it. There's too much movement. You need to through bolt this seat into the deck. I can put my seat back on top now. That is in place. I'm gonna go underneath with that fender washer and nylock nut, and I'm gonna tighten it up on both of these chairs, and then we are fully installed here and ready to continue on with the boat. If you're in the market for new seats for your pontoon boat, check out pontoonstuff.com. Obviously, we love them. We use them on all of the boats that we restore, but they offer great seats, a great warranty, great customer service, and you can save 5% on your purchase for your boat. Flooring, seating, railing kits, everything you need to restore it. Use Tom's Toons at checkout to save 5%. Thanks for watching.